It's popping. It's your boy Enoch. It's my brother James. This is the Blood Brothers podcast. Let's go. To the joy. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Blood Brothers podcast. Y'all know how we like to do it before we get going. Let's bow our heads. Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this moment right now. Use us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
What's good, bro?
Nah, man, I'm back in New York.
I miss you, man.
Yeah, I miss you too, man. Just the weather out here is all cold. It's all right. Eventually, I'll be out there in my 7 acres and my 8-bedroom house with 4 bathrooms and
That's a fact.
a giant pool and the whole 9 yards. But until then, my mission still stays the same.
What's the mission, my brother?
Empowering men to become leaders in society under God's law. Consequently, men, women, and children will understand what it is to be a real man.
Talk that talk. Oh, man, I miss you, man. We had fun out here, bro.
It was a good time. I mean, that was my first time actually going to North Carolina. So,
yeah,
I've always wanted to move there. Obviously, you guys got to go first, so it actually helped us out because it made it easier for our transition. But, in due time, everything will happen. We got to see Duke, UNC.
Yeah, that was a good time, man. Just watching our kids, looking at the potential, like, yo, this could be a future for them. Like,
man,
beautiful.
Watching the kids,
Cam, he was like in awe of Duke. It was just like, wow. Like,
he really loves Duke. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I am for him going to a HBCU, but I'm not gonna be like, yo, don't go to.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna be that person. But am I gonna be like, yo, visit all the colleges, enjoy what you want? I'm gonna tell him to go to the whole 9 yards. But if Duke is where he wants to go, that's where his heart is set. Then by all means,
That's a fact. That's a fact. We just finished up the leadership series.
Yeah, that was dope.
Yeah, that was fire. There was a lot of gems thrown in there.
And I think the leadership series gave a good, nice little conundrum of everything we've been talking about.
Basically, yeah, everything in the whole. And you brought something to me that was very interesting as a topic for today. I want you to speak on that.
All right. So, I mean, the way I view leadership is, obviously, it's a person who empowers people to become what they're destined to be, in their area of gifting. And through that, they begin to influence people to become what they're supposed to be.
Yep.
But one thing that I'm realizing a lot is that the people that that are prestigious and claim to be leaders, a lot of them are falling. A lot of them are, violating these moral codes, and it puts their ability to lead in jeopardy. So the topic that I had in mind was what actually would cause a change in the aspect of, if, let's say, you are a leader or a father or a friend or whatever it is in that position. What would actually cause you, if you fall and you violate principles, what would cause you to change for the good?
So, you know what? That kind of question can go in so many different directions, because sometimes you can say it depends on the person, but I feel like overall it'll fall in the same category of the main reason what caused them to change.
I think so.
Like someone would say it would take for something crazy to happen. And then somebody else might say it would take for me to think of the possibilities of something happening. But at the end of the day, it's still the effect of what the action caused.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And what even with that, you have to consider, when a wise person will always learn from someone else's mistakes.
Facts.
Right? So it's hard pressed that you'll see a person who is wise repeat the same mistake as a person they're close to. So, for example, like when me and you, I've told you since day one, like, yo, listen, do not get anybody pregnant and not be married. I really felt, but I felt like you received it, but it was more so because you actually got to see the process of what I was going through. that you was like, oh no, I don't want this for myself.
It's easier to learn it when you're seeing it happen.
Exactly, compared to when somebody's saying it. But the worst part about it is there are people who make mistakes, and I don't even want to call it a mistake. No, there are people who make decisions.
But yeah,
and
bad
see the
decisions.
consequences, make bad decisions. So what I did was I made a bad decision, right? I had a baby. I wasn't married. That was a bad decision. My child is not, the outcome isn't bad because I'm a father and I love him, but the decision to become a father before being married, that was a bad decision, right? So with that being said, you have to keep in mind, people will make that decision, know the negative outcome, and then allow someone close to them to make the same decision. Not just saying allow them in the sense that they're not going to live, but at least tell them, warn them, give them some kind of, red lights. Like, hey, this is a road you might not want to go down. Not saying they're going to listen, but at the end of the day, at least if you do your due diligence and tell them this is not something that is healthy, you don't got to look at them like you crazy.
So you could say growing up, it wasn't emphasized plainly decision making.
Nah, now that I think about it, it wasn't.
Yeah.
How do we make
really
decisions?
hear that a lot?
Nah, we didn't talk about decisions at all.
Yeah, like let's talk about decision making. It was always don't do that or shouldn't do that, but nobody ever teaches about decision making. Okay, how to analyze a situation, how to look at it from the outside.
Yep.
Nobody really teaches you that. You kind of just roll with it. And if somebody never ever catches on to that, it'll be hard for them to realize how to come back from their bad decisions.
I think what you're pointing at is what we call cause and effect. The cause and effect theory, right?
Yeah.
Decision, consequence. They go hand in hand. Every decision. Like, if you think about everything in your life, from the smallest decision to the biggest decision, it all has cause and effect. Some more severe than others, but for the most part,
it's true.
I want to say 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Every decision has a cause and effect. So if you think about it, if you wake up and say, yo, I ain't brushing my teeth today, then your breath gonna smell like garbage. Like, that's you know what I mean? But that's small, but it's the truth. Like, if you could possibly be like, yo, I'm gonna wear a hat today. Then say you put on the hat and then you get a imprint. Right? Yeah. That's the consequence of your hat. Everything. There isn't anything that doesn't have cause and effect.
Yeah.
The part that people struggle with is the fact that when you have cause and effect, you have to be able to limit the negative effects, and that has to be the goal overall, to limit my negative effects as much as possible. Because when you do that, now you put yourself in a situation where you're more productive than digressing in life.
So you would say, for within a situation like yours, you would say it would be harder for you to change. Let's put it like this. If you have someone that makes a bad decision,
okay,
but the consequences wasn't as severe,
okay,
you would say it's harder for them to not make the same decision.
I think that consequence, the best way to word it is, it's not about,
like, if I cheat on my girl, right, and she doesn't leave,
yeah,
the chances of me cheating on her again
are very high.
is likely, right?
Very high. But I think for me, it's more of the fact, it's not about the consequence. It's not about the consequence not being there. It's about the acknowledgement of the consequence. So what happens is, if you ignore it, right, then it doesn't exist. So, all right, so say, yo, I don't brush my teeth in the morning. My breath stinks. People are like, yo, your breath smell crazy. But you like, man, my breath don't smell crazy. My breath don't smell crazy. But no, your breath really, it reeks, bro. You're struggling out here. It's hard. Yeah. You're hard pressed to talk to you. It's a tough conversation, right? But if you don't actually acknowledge that your breath doesn't stink, then the consequence of your actions are not reality. They're just, they bugging. I'm not bugging.
And it's kind of like, you know how you have those people where you don't tell them they breath stink, but they breath always stink because you never say anything. So it's like, yo, dude over there, yo, his breath always stink. But nobody ever has let him know, like, bro, like, your breath stink, or you don't take showers, or, and I'm gonna be honest, I was in a situation like that at my last job. This dude, right?
Yeah.
When I was in New York, he always smelled and then brush his teeth.
Oh nah.
So, bro. So I'm like, and mind you, this was at a sanitation job.
Oh nah. So y'all was well invested.
So for a while nobody would say nothing, right? So I'm like, yo, bro, this can't keep going on. So
y'all was in the truck together, right?
Now this is when we was in the van.
Oh, that's
Charlie know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yo, that's OG.
So like we got to a point we had to have an intervention with him. Yeah. And I felt bad because it's like, dang, I hate that it had to come to this point. But from that, like we all put in like, yo, we gonna put a kit together for him, give him soap, blah blah blah, all that, because it was like, yo, maybe he just now it's real talk. This is
I believe you. Just sound crazy though.
It was bad, so it was like, yo, nah, like we really gotta do something because it's bad. Mm-hmm. And then we brought that to him, and then he was like, oh really? I didn't think I. And then after that, he started taking accountability, and we started noticing a change.
Meaning like he didn't stink anymore.
Exactly. He started, taking care of himself. Yeah. So it's like we could have just sat there that whole time and just let it be, because sometimes people don't do the things that we do, like self-evaluate. Mm-hmm. So sometimes they need an outside source to let them know, like, yo, bro, you need to get it together because you ain't right now.
You know what, though? But shouts out to him for not taking it personal and realizing, like, hey, I need to make a change, because that's what it takes. Yeah. It takes that accountability aspect to really, make a conscious change, because it's like this. If you use cheating as a scenario, yes, the woman could stay. Yes, the man could stay. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change the violation. So the consequence might not be them leaving, but it could be a terrible relationship, or it could be you can't run away from consequence. It just doesn't happen. That's true. So it might not be the consequence you're expecting, like, oh, she stayed, I got away with it. No, you really didn't get away with it, because mentally she's torn, she's plagued, she's hurt. So instead of it being I'm leaving, it's gonna be just a rocky road with your relationship. So even if you don't want to acknowledge it, the process of making a change as a whole, it's an unwavering process. It's kind of like principles. It doesn't move, because at the end of the day, if you say that, okay, I violated, you took me back, blah, 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 whatever you want to say, the whole 9 yards, the script. Everybody knows the script. You cheat, you stay, you cheat, you stay, and you go out until I'm fed up. Two things happen. Let me tell you what the consequence of those actions. Number one, you're promoting, I don't even want to, I hate to word it.
A bad habit, a bad pattern?
It's not even a bad pattern. You're promoting, it's a bad pattern, but it says a lot about how you feel about yourself when you let somebody violate you. It says a lot about your self-worth. It says a lot about, your mind frame. It just says a lot. And men won't say it, or women, but when somebody cheats and they stay, subconsciously you lose a lot of respect for that person.
Yeah, there's something that's taken out.
Oh yeah, you lose a piece of you.
100%. Yeah, I don't think you get it back. So like when people say they healed from situation, they have a great relationship. Yeah, I don't feel like they got that piece back, but what was broken off, they were able to heal that, because you can't get it back, but I feel like you can. Essentially, like a cut, like a scab came off. Like that skin's never coming back. You just built a new skin in that area. So that piece of you is gone forever. Yeah. But you built something over it to like, okay, it's not the same, but I can still function and move forward.
True. And if you think about it, even when you grow your skin back, there's always a little bruise.
Yeah, exactly. A little bruise. Exactly.
So it's never goes back to the way it was. Yeah. You might be able to operate with it. You might be able to go and do what you want to do with it, get a tattoo over it, whatever. But at the end of the day, that bruise will always remain there. That's true. That's my point when it comes to violations. If you don't address them head on, now you're going to find yourself in a situation where, depending on what you deem immoral, right? When you, this is a bit extreme, but I really feel like this. When you violate someone, and they accept the violation. Not saying they don't accept your apology, right? But
yeah,
like, we'll use cheating. When you cheat on somebody in a marriage, or I will stay with marriage,
yeah.
right? What it does when you accept them back, to me, you lose a part of your soul. You lose
I can see that. I can see
a
that.
part of your soul, because when you committed to this person
Mm-hmm.
for a lifetime, you put yourself in a situation where your soul ties.
Yeah,
So when the
yeah.
violation happens, it chips at your soul.
Mm-hmm.
And although you might not want to think of it that deep,
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
don't believe me, think about it like this. Why is it that sometimes when people cheat and then let's say they get past it, that image of the person with someone else haunts
Mm-hmm.
you,
It
haunts your
does.
mind.
It does. It
So
does.
every
Yeah,
time you touch me, you
yeah.
think like, dang, she probably was touching something like
Yeah,
that.
that's true. That's
Or
true.
y'all getting down for the get down, and they could be mid getting down,
That's
and all of a
true.
sidden it's like, dang, he probably was laying it down like this for a
Yeah, I
little
ain't gonna
chick.
lie. Like, dudes feel like it don't hurt if they was in a relationship and it didn't go right. Like, I remember I was in a relationship and the girl went away to school, and we was like, "Yo, we gonna try it," but
Mm,
that didn't work out. Like, I found out that she was messing with a dude, and then after that, you're just crushed. You start running all these scenarios. Then they come back, and then I try to make it work, and it's like it's never the same.
nah,
It's almost impossible to get it back to that what we would call honeymoon stage. Like,
yeah,
it's almost impossible. Like,
no, it's
people that do
impossible.
it, I ain't gonna try to give them credit, because especially in dating, like, if you cheat on me, that's hard to come back from.
I'm not gonna front. I
Yeah.
love myself more than any relationship I will ever be in. And
I understand it more in marriage, but dating,
yeah, dating is a dub. I'm sorry. I don't care if you got kids. I don't care about none of that. You gotta go like that. Think about it. You could say, and a lot of, I hate the analogy, like, we're gonna grow together. Yes, grow together, mature together, get
yeah.
your careers together, not violate each other. That was
Mm-hmm.
never part of the growing process.
Yeah.
That was dumb decision. Well, you could say, yeah, I was immature when I made the decision, which was okay, cool. But at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, she can be mature enough, or he can be mature enough to leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you
Yeah,
don't
that's
have to
true.
stick around for that.
That's
Nobody should
true.
have to deal with violation.
What do you think keeps people in those situations where there was a violation, and like you said, you should feel like you're worth more? What is it that keep people there?
Well, they don't feel like they're worth more.
Is it that?
I I don't know what else it could be. I mean, a lot of people stick with people because they, oh, we have kids together. But listen, I have a kid with somebody, and I'm not with them. And listen, I had to make the tough call, right?
Do you think it's easier said than done?
Everything is easy. Everything is easily said. Everything is easy in theory, right? Everything
Mm-hmm.
is, anybody could just say I'm gonna do something. When it
Yeah.
comes down to doing it, that's where it'd be like, oh, you really about that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's where people lose me, because I'm really about that
Yeah. Facts.
action.
That's a fact.
I'm
That's a
about
fact.
that action. Like, I'm not here for it, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't pretend to be. So what happens is people will go through the process of whatever. Let's say they're like, if they cheat on me, or you gonna have to marry me on this time, and they'll do
Yeah.
all this
Yeah.
talking, all of this yeah, right? All this that's what I call it. That's what
Yeah.
it sounds like to me. And then when push comes to shove, that time frame come around, and you stuck right in that same position, looking the same way, looking even dumber. Because at the end of the day, people only do what you allow them to do.
Yeah. That's true.
Right?
That's true.
So if the question would be what makes people stay, me personally, I
Mm-hmm.
believe it's insecurity, and I believe it's a lack of self-worth. I mean, that could be a little mean, but hey,
What if it? I guess ultimately it does come back to that, because if somebody, let's say somebody says, "Well, I don't want to leave because of the security that we've built. Like, I invested so much time into this person, or
Okay.
we've been together for this long. We've built something. It's just this one little mistake. I don't want to throw away everything else
Mm-hmm.
because of this mistake." So
That's what you messed up right there. You said one little mistake. That's not a mistake. Is you walk on the concrete and there's a crack on the thing and you trip. That's a mistake. I don't walk on the concrete, trip into somebody else's box. That's not a mistake. That's what I call premeditated murder. Okay?
Yeah.
That means that I've been talking to the person, I've been vibing. Even if it's a one night stand, I still had to put some energy into it before I got there. Like, got there to the spot, talked to them, gave that type of energy. Listen.
And I think a lot of, the thing is too, I think a lot of women are becoming numb to it because I'm starting to hear a lot of women saying like, yo, all men cheat.
Yeah, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Like, that's something you got to deal with through the process. And that's a dumb philosophy because that comes from their parents. Because I heard a lot of mothers say that too. Like if my friends' mothers would say that to them, their kids, or a real bad situation came about, and I heard like one of the mothers tell the young lady like, this is just what they do. You're gonna have to just roll with the punch, type of thing. And it's just like, nah, that's not what we do. That's what they do. That's what they choose to do. And the reason why they choose to do it is because at the end of the day, they know you're not going anywhere. If women were to really start up and, all right, I'm out of here. All right, it's been real. Oh, you want to, all right.
That would be the thing that causes change.
That would be the thing that causes change.
Because now you're realizing I'm going to be lonely the rest of my life. Because if every time I mess up, the woman's just going to leave me, I need to make a conscious change of what I'm doing.
That would be one. Changing the environment is a big one. But I think ultimately you can't depend on others to create change for you, right? Because that's basically what that means. Like you're depending on women to take an approach that they really often don't take. So that's unreliable in one sense. You might get maybe 5% of women out of be like, yo, if you cheat on me, I am leaving. I promise you. I'm not questioning. I'm out of here. But then you got the other 95% that are just what I call roll with the punches. You know what I mean? If you take enough punches, you're gonna start to look beat up.
Yeah. For me, it wasn't something that happened that caused a change in my mindset. For me, it was thinking of the future and where I want to be in the goal. So sometimes you can analyze yourself enough to know, okay, this is what I want. This is where I want to go. I have to change certain things if I want to get there. Like my wife, I knew I want to marry her.
Okay.
So I have to do certain things to make sure I don't ruin that. I have to make sure I'm loyal, faithful. I'm doing all the required things that when we do get married, I'm not bringing it in there. I'm already prepared and ready. So I don't have to worry about a consequence happening for me to decide to change. My change came from what I want.
Okay. That's another thing. That goes into let's explain the three principles of creating change. So I would say the first one would be accountability.
The
next one would be, forgive me, I wrote it down, action. And then the last one would be conviction. Of course, I always do the opposite order because I believe conviction is actually the first part of creating change. Now, this is.
Can't somebody use that in a relationship though? Like, let's say I cheat, right? Okay, I'm convicted for it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm taking accountability for it.
Yeah.
And I make the change.
Yeah.
So, do you think if you take those steps, that can ultimately save a relationship?
It could, but I wouldn't recommend it. I'm gonna be honest because I want to explain conviction.
Okay.
All right. The word conviction actually is a governmental analysis of someone who is guilty. Right? Now, I'm not even gonna go into the biblical aspect. I'm just gonna talk like in a reasonable setting as far as so people could digest it.
Okay.
If you murder somebody, they're dead. You get arrested, you go to court, the judge says you're convicted, your sentence is blah 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 blah, 25 years to life. Right? What they're hoping is that through your conviction there is a repentance. They'll say rehabilitation. Well, rehabilitation is just repentance.
Changing,
It's just changing your mind. They're hoping that you change. Now, before they let you back into society, if you happen to, achieve that goal, right? They'll say you cannot go around the person that you violated. Right? When you're convicted, you cannot be around the person that you violated. So let's just say if you rob somebody, you cannot be within whatever many feet ever of them. If you whatever, go down the list of crimes.
Yeah.
Right? So remember, conviction has decision and consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you cannot alter the conviction stage to say, hey, because, you know, I love you. You know, I love you.
I love you.
I want to be with you forever.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to just accept it. Because once you're convicted, it changes the outlook of the relationship. Right? I wouldn't be able to, I couldn't, and I can only speak for myself, obviously, but I couldn't stand in no one's face after I violated and treat them with the same respect that I had for them prior to the situation.
That's true.
Right?
True.
So the minute you get conviction, that's the most, I say that's 90% of change when you're convicted of it.
Yeah.
Next, you would be taking your action, and through your actions, you'll find the accountability aspect to it. So, so when you say, can you take that into your relationship to make it successful? Like, can you? Because in conviction, there's a sentence, right? And there's stipulations in the sentence. I mean, if you want to say, hey, you know, I cheated. Okay, we're going to work it out. We're going to go to counseling. We're going to, know, it doesn't change the fact that the price you have to pay is independent from the person.
Yeah.
So if I could say, if I'm a counselor and I can give advice, I would say, I think you should split up. I think you should do independent time. Separately.
Yeah.
You have to separate yourself. Deal with it separately.
Yeah.
Go through the full emotions of it. Now, in your time apart, then you can come to the realization, do I want to be with this person?
I want to
The problem
that's true.
People get convicted.
Stay together.
And then they stay together. You have to separate, because I'll tell you this, I have a lot more respect, and the person will have a lot more respect for someone who walks away. As you violated, I don't want to be around you.
I feel like that's a perfect way to go about that, because there is no, we're together, so now thoughts are altered.
Exactly. It's all clear-minded.
You're clear-minded. I'm by myself, because now you start realizing, okay, I'm not with this person. How do I feel without this person?
Exactly.
How do I feel about this person?
Yep.
I don't have them talking to me, buttering me up, giving me the roses and all that. I'm just in my thoughts, realizing I'm reflecting on our relationship. Now you get to really sit back and, what was our relationship really like?
Was it worth it? Where did I go wrong?
Yeah, where did I go wrong? When is it worth me going back? Even if I forgive him for this, let me look at the relationship in the past. Like, is it worth even me going back to this person?
Exactly. And then what you do is,
a lot of people don't evaluate that.
Exactly, but you have to do it that way, because remember, in conviction, there's a sentence. There's a sentence in conviction. So, all right. So I'm not biased. I have friends who, you know, have kids and they're not married or whatever, and I don't think that, I'm not a hypocrite, right? So, well, I try my best not to be a hypocrite in all situations. I'm very conscious of that.
Yeah.
So, if one of my friends was to come and tell me, you know, they're not married, but they don't want to be with the child's mother.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the one to tell them, yo, work it out. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be the one to tell you, okay, listen, I actually respect the fact that you won't put yourself through marriage, which is permanent. You cut your losses short.
Yeah.
And you address the situation head on. Honest with your feelings. I don't want to be with you. We're going to co-parent, whatever. Right? I would prefer a man or a woman do that than fake the funk and ultimately live a lie.
Violate the marriage. Yeah.
Live a lie, then eventually violate the covenant. Right?
Would you say it's better to try to go that direction, and if you realize that's not gonna work, or is it just upfront like, yo, I'm not even gonna try?
Let me ask you this. Did you know you wanted to marry Kayla?
Yeah.
Okay, then. Here's your answer. We don't have to make it some, all right, we don't need to play Russian roulette with people's feelings.
That's true.
And we definitely don't need to play Russian roulette with kids involved.
Yeah.
So let's just be adults. You're not the person I want to be with. I'm sorry. Right. And me saying I'm not a hypocrite, I own that because I'm not with Cam's mom. And I had to own that, although I might have tried, if that's what you want to call it, it wasn't a genuine effort. I knew it. And I just had to own it, like, I know I didn't want to be with her from the beginning. And I messed up. You know what I'm saying? I knew that. I should have owned that early. I would have cut my losses short and just started the healing process from there.
Yeah.
So that's advice I give to people, because I'm like, I'm not a hypocrite in that aspect. I try my best not to be a hypocrite, but more so, I'm very reasonable. Very reasonable. But I just feel like when it comes to making a change, you have to be logical along with reasonable, along with principle driven. Those three things cause an effective change, because now you'll put yourself in a situation. All right, well, we'll use me as an example because I don't want to put anybody on blast.
Yeah.
All right, look. Me, I was young. I had a conviction on my life.
Yeah.
God made it very clear. You knew you were not supposed to be having sex. The consequence of you having sex was you had a child.
Yep.
Right? Boom. Conviction. I get it. I messed up. Okay, fine. Next is the action. Right? So what are the next steps? All right, I'm going to try to make it work. Okay, it didn't work. I'm bugging. All right, I have to step away from the situation. That is an immediate action.
Yeah.
Right? But I didn't take the step away action because I was blaming his mom. I didn't say, yo, she a bad woman, or she this.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
Yeah.
I said, I made the mistake. I messed up. So within my action, it caused my accountability to kick in. And through that, I had a pure form of conviction because I dealt with it head on. So I made a promise to myself, anything that I have to go through, because I made this decision, I'll just go through. As long as I could be here for my son and I could be the father I need to be, the friend I need to be. All of these things that I wanted came from that situation of conviction.
Yeah.
So I took those steps, and what it did was it gave me revelation to who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it allowed me to make a real change. So who I was is really dead. It doesn't exist to me anymore.
Yeah.
Foreign territory. But I took all the necessary steps. Even in my conviction, we split up. She went her way, I went my way.
And the crazy thing is, there are some people that we can use the term are hard-headed.
Oh God!
Like this applies all around. Like, let's say, even in work, right? I get, let's say, there's a rule, like if you're late 3 times, you get an occurrence. Or so I'm late one time, I get an occurrence. I'm like, all right, whatever. Second time, I'm late. All right, cool. Third time, I'm late again. Ain't nothing happened. I get an occurrence. So now that fourth time, they say, okay, you're late. We're docking your check. So now I was like, oh shoot. Now you waited for all those situations to happen. And now when something actually happens, that's when you change.
Yep.
When the actual consequence happens. So I think it's almost like a consequence has to happen for you to change a bad habit.
It's mandated.
Yeah, I think that's the only way it works, because if I'm always late, you just be like, yo, writing it down, you got to sign that she was late. All right, whatever. It wasn't that bad. But now that you're taking money on my check, now it's like, yo, what happened? Why? And now you're like, you rushing to work now. Now you on it. You trying to be on time. It's because a consequence happened.
What is that saying that Inky used to use that you said?
Stay true to what you said you was going to do, even when the mood that you said it in is gone.
Okay, so I'll use myself as an example again. True conviction, it prioritizes your thought process, right?
Yeah.
So I said, like I just said, I said, you know what? I'm gonna go through the process as long as I can do and be what I have to be for my son. That's all that matters to me.
Yeah.
So I said this out loud. I said, listen, I said, God, I made a mistake. Get my consequences. I'll take them head on. I don't care. I'll deal with whatever I got to deal with.
Yep.
Now, remember, you don't ever stop being a father.
That's true.
So that means that at least for 18 years, I'm sentenced, if that's what you want to call it. I'm sentenced for 18 years until my son can be a young man and make his own decisions legally.
Yeah.
So in my conviction, I would say I was sentenced to 18 years. Some men would say 21 years because that's child support, but I don't. I have a whole different analogy on child support. That's something else.
Yeah.
All right. So when I said this, I was obviously emotionally heightened. Mm-hmm. Right. More recently, my son moved. The drive is 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back, 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back. So on Tuesdays, I'm on the road almost 3 hours just to drop him off and pick him up, right? And I'm not going to lie, it irritated me in the beginning until I remembered what I said. I said, I'll do whatever I have to do to be there for my son. I don't really care what it is. God said, all right, cool. All right, you said it, cool.
Facts.
So within me driving and being a little upset, my words started to trickle in my brain. Like, you said that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So why are you upset right now? Right? So I had to look at myself and go, why am I upset? And I mean, ultimately what I came to the conclusion within myself is three things. So one, I'm upset that my son has to get up in the morning and go 30 minutes to school. I'm upset that my son has to go through this process. I'm upset that my son doesn't have his dad every day. I'll always be upset about that. So that's always at the root of my frustration, that he doesn't deserve this, right? Next would be, now this 30-minute drive, it kind of just takes away from my days where I could, get some money, whatever it is,
Yeah.
So I'm like, dang, it's messing up the paper. I'm like, but you know what? That's what I said. But within all of that, me driving and I got revelation, because remember, I'm taking accountability for the situation. I said this. So shut up. Stop complaining and do what you got to do. Shut up. This is not the time to complain.
Yeah.
Be happy that you're spending time with your son. Some fathers don't get no time with their son.
That's a fact. Yeah.
Right? So what I realized is, I said, look, I get 30 minutes, just me and him driving dolo. I get to talk to him. I get to build with him. It's a good thing. It's our thing. So that extended drive actually helps our conversation, which ultimately helps our relationship, which ultimately allows me to build more with him mentally.
Yeah.
What I ultimately want. Then I'm like, okay, but then I drop him off, and then it's just me driving back. But then it was like, no, it's not just you driving back. Now I get to build with God. It's just me and him. I get to talk to him, explain to him what I'm thinking. He tells me what he's thinking. And I don't want y'all, like, when we say we talk to God, it's not in that, don't think
weird
of it as
way.
Don't think of it as like churchy, what I'm saying? Like that churchy type of, whatever they
do. OD weird. Like,
it's not. It's just the same way I'm talking to Enoch right now. Is the same way I talk to God. Like, yo, listen, this is how I'm feeling about this situation. And a lot of people say he doesn't talk back, which I would disagree. But it just depends on your relationship. He might not have full dialogue with you, but he'll definitely use words, simple words to remind you of what it is.
That's a fact.
Your mission, what it is. Because when even dreams, like, he'll talk to you, like, it's very subtle things. But the reason why we are always so keen on being in tune with God is because unless you're in tune with him, you're not going to catch the subliminals, or the subtle messages he sends to you. Right.
That's what causes those changes, because it's those little things like, you know what, this is not conducive to where I'm trying to go.
Facts.
This is not conducive to the plan or the goals or my purpose. So you know what? I need to make a change before something happens.
Yep.
That's being proactive.
Yep.
Not waiting for it to go wrong. Not waiting for this to happen to say, I got to change that. For you start to see it before it comes. You're like, you know what? If I do this, that's going to happen. So that's why we always preaching, like, working on yourself. Like, always being in tune with who you are. Going into your mindset, like, which way am I going? Where is this leading? Being in tune with that, being wise, seeing things like, oh, that happened from that. Staying away from that. Oh, he cheated on her, and then that happened. She took his money. Oh, I'm staying away from that. This dude was late to work 5 times. He got fired. Oh, I need my job to provide for my family. I'm not gonna do that.
Facts.
So you start using that in everything. Some, like, It goes to building something. Somebody used a cheap contractor. They messed their whole crib up. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna go the cheap route because I saw what happened. Like even my mom was telling me, she was like, "Yeah, we fixed the kitchen up, but we went cheap. It may look good, but if you really look, it's not really that great." She would tell me like, "I know you're doing things in your house. Please don't go the cheap route because I regret it." She was like, "If you gotta wait to spend a little more money, do it because it'll be worth it in the long run." It's always about the end goal. So you have to make sure you're doing the things now, being wise, being conscious of the things, your actions, so that it affects you later on.
Yeah, the conviction process is the only thing that's going to make effective change, right? And I use myself as an example because I know where I came from.
Yeah.
Right. I know where my mind was. I know what I was brought up under. And let's touch on that too. A lot of people, you say you had a little situation where somebody said our mentalities are.
Oh yeah. It's like, because the way we grew up, it's harder for someone that grew up in the slums of the slums to have the mindset that we have. But it's like, at some point, you have to shed that hood culture or that mindset that was put on you. At some point, you have to become a man to be able to make your own decisions, because ultimately what you're saying is, I can't make my own decisions because of how I grew up. At the end of the day, that's what you're saying. If you're saying, oh, you're able to have a clear mindset on things because you had two parents or they were there for you. Well, at the end of the day, I still have to make my own decisions. So for you to say, because I grew up in a single home or dudes was trapping around me, shooting guns, gangs, that's why I can't have the same mentality that you have. The only reason you can't have that same mentality is because you're not choosing it.
Okay, I could agree with that. And I think even more than that, I mean, me personally, I do believe they have the same mentality. I really do. And this is why I say it, because they just apply it to a different culture.
Yeah.
You have the same thoughts. You just apply it to a different culture. Your culture is moving weight, shooting people, and robbing and stealing, whatever it is, drinking, liquor, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? I don't have anything against drinking. I'm just using it as an analogy. I'm just using it as an analogy. But just whatever it is that you apply it to. So this is what I'm saying. And this is why I love principle, because the principles of conviction don't change according to any situation. They're concrete. So if you want to say, okay, what we're saying is foreign to the project mentality, I'll explain to you how it's not. Let's do a stereotypical project style mentality, scenario. Single mother, a young man, raised by the streets, the dudes he looks up to, they sell weight, they get the bag, they scamming, they doing what they doing, right? Their principles are no snitching, loyalty, make sure you're accurate with your count. So that would be productive.
Code of conduct, honor.
Code of conduct, moral implications, right? So that means if you violate the set, we might off you, whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing that we apply. We just apply it to our family. Right?
That's true.
We just apply it to our relationship with God. We just apply it. Listen, all these moral and ethical principles that people live by, that alter, like that they change according to their culture.
Yeah.
When they apply it to their culture, all it is the 10 Commandments and the Beatitudes.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's moral standards and living standards. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But it's just about how do you apply them. So it's hard for me to think that a drug dealer who's running $1 million organization can't apply that to a real estate organization or a Fortune 500 company or whatever it is. You're brilliant. You're just choosing to do this.
Exactly.
Just choosing to do it. And this is why.
And when do they change? When they get locked up.
When they get convicted.
Yeah. When does that change come? They come out like, yo, I'm trying to do the right thing now.
Because they're convicted, right?
Yeah.
See, the best conviction is self-evaluation, right? Listen, and obviously we were talking about it from a practical reasoning perspective, but this is why it's important to be in tune with God, because his conviction is I mean, you guys think being in jail is convicted. When he convicts you,
you feel it.
You feel it way different.
You feel
I
it.
mean, you're in jail, so you're probably upset that you're locked up. But when you're convicted mentally through him, it's one of those type of situations where you feel so. It's not even a sense of guilt. I mean, it's guilt, but it's such a empowering, uplifting, hurtful thought process, right? That's the best way to, the fact that he loves me enough to show me what I did wrong, right? The fact that he expresses how he views me. And if you want to know how he views you, all you have to do is read his book, right? If you go to Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 to 28, he'll tell you exactly what he thinks about you, right? And I live by that. But when you read those things and then you match it up to the way you're living, now you can start to realize, like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And you don't, and Dr. Miles Monroe said this, and this was a great terminology. When you have God's spirit, which is a governing spirit in your mind, right? When he rules in your mind, right? I'm talking about that real, that domination in your brain, which affects your actions. It's that type of person where you be like, yo, you different. You're like, I know. Right? I know I am. But when he's in charge of your life, you don't need external government. You have internal government. The more external government you need, the less internal government you have. Because if you operate under your internal government, the Beatitudes kicking. So your morals will never be in question. 10 Commandments. So the way you treat others will never be in question. You'll operate very effectively. And then you'll just apply those all to your every aspect of life, your work life, your relationships, your parenting, everything that you want to do, you'll just apply those. So the reason why I view countries with such a disdain, and, obviously we live here, I get it. But there's laws for every single thing. Certain things you're like, you need a law for that? Like,
that's
really?
That's a fact. That's true.
Like that needs to be a law. You don't know better than that. Like, you don't have that internal government or God to tell you, like, hey, listen, my man. That's off. And if you want to know what God is that little thing that makes you feel weird before you do something.
Facts. You shouldn't be doing it.
You
that little thing like, yo, don't do it.
That weird feeling before you do something. That's him. That's him in your subconscious mind. And it's really up to you to decide if you want to ignore him or you want to pursue him. He doesn't force
wisdom
you.
is.
Exactly.
That's what that wisdom is hearing that and knowing I foresee the consequences of this.
Listen, and people act like they don't know. You know what the consequences is.
You saw what could come out of this. You just like, bump it.
y'all seen enough Tyler Perry movies, where
that's a fact. That's a fact.
Tyler Perry, and I'm not really a big fan of Tyler Perry like that, but I get where he coming from. Like he promotes the stereotype of a broken family.
Yeah, right? 100%. That's why so much people relate to it.
Exactly, which is pretty sad, but I get it. It's very sad that that's what we relate to. But at the end of the day, that's not something I can change. That's something that I can only address in my own family, around my surroundings.
This mindset can only change it.
Exactly, the conviction, and I think people should always keep in mind, even within going through the process of change, don't be afraid to admit when you're wrong.
Facts.
Right? Don't be afraid to own up to that. Like, you'll hear me say all the time, I was wrong in the situation with Cam, right? And his mom. I was wrong. I was off. That was me, But within that, I think I found myself, and it humbled me enough for God to go, okay, cool. You're willing to humble yourself and listen, and I love you enough to work with you. So let's go through the process together. And when you make certain declarations, remember, when you make a declaration in the kingdom, it's going to be challenged. There's no way getting around it. So you'll get me in a situation where now I go from driving, maybe an hour, there and back, 15 minutes, dropping to now 3 hours. And I had to use the same principles to achieve my goal and to keep my mind from being altered as when I had to drive the 15 minutes. It's the same thing, right? But it was just me being able to remember what I said, and my ability to say, at the end of the day, my word is my bond. So if I say it, I gotta do it. And I expect God to hold me accountable for that. And I expect my friends to hold me accountable for it, and my wife and people that are close to me. I expect them to hold me accountable. You'll never hear me complain about you holding me accountable for something I said.
Yeah. Right? And that's where that real growth comes from. Being able to analyze the situation and know your fault in it. That alone helps you grow, because now you're having access to an area that's not common. Mm-hmm. Most men would not take accountability for that. So when you're able to do that, you open a new level, a new door of the growth and the impact you can have on your life for you to help others. Because imagine if you didn't have this mindset where you didn't take accountability for what you did. Mm-hmm. You would just be feeding into the cultural mindset, like, yo, my baby mom be wilding, yo, it's on her, like, she be bugging. But you open the door to where now you can have a different outlook and impact other young men to understand, look at what you played in this. Mm-hmm. What did you do? What was your dysfunction within this? Mm-hmm. And now understanding it and being able to move forward and grow from it.
Well, if you really want to get to the root of it, all problems in society stem from men. Mm-hmm. Right? And this is a different conversation we can have, obviously, but when you get to the root of all problems in society, it starts with the man. You can trace it back to a man, whether it's a man that wasn't around or a man that violated or whatever. You can always trace it back to a man. So my issue doesn't stem from my son's mother. Yeah, it stems from me. Right. And then if you want to trace my issues back, you could probably trace it back to my upbringing. Yeah. But to be be frank, to break generational curses, you have to just say, all right, it stops here.
Yep. Period.
It stops here. I'm good. It stops here. I get it. Nobody else got to go through it. Yeah. It stops here. My son, he's not going to go through it.
I noticed it. Good. I see it. I know where it's going to go. Yep. Being wise. It stops here.
It stops right here. I made the mistake, but my child's not gonna make a mistake, and that's it, right? Nice. And through and then I always say, let me be. It's an analogy, but let me carry the cross so that way my son doesn't. You know, let me deal with that. You know, and if he is gonna have a cross, it's not gonna be from something that was passed down. Okay? Exactly. He didn't pick up his own cross and made his own mistakes, and I'm like, yo, my man. That's it. Like, where'd you get that from?
What's that? Where'd you get that from?
Yeah, that ain't something
I took all the hours. Like, I took care of hours. I don't know where you got that from. That must be yours. Like, you picked that one up.
That's the new one for you, my boy.
That's the new one. You better handle that.
You know what I mean? I hope you squatting. That joint heavy now, ain't it?
Heavy, boy. Heavy. Oh man.
But nah, I think everybody just keep in mind, to really make change, 3 things has to happen: accountability, action, and conviction. Conviction being the bottom, because that's the source of it all. Through your conviction, remember, there's decisions and there's consequences. In the sentence, there has to be space. There has to be a gap. There has to be a time apart from the person who violated. And if they violated, to the point of no return, guess what? And just like in real convictions in society, they're deemed immoral and they cannot be around you for a lifetime. So, and there's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't mean that you don't forgive them. It just means that you violated. Yeah. You take the right actions, and you'll start to see the patterns change. And hopefully we get more dudes out here that's just really willing to, pay that price, or avoid paying the price like you, right? Exactly. And just catch it from Africa. Like, I see where it's going.
We're not going to go that way. We're not going on that path. No, not going on that path, man.
Nah, I dig it. But you got anything for the people?
One thing I want to say, I love our podcast format. We tried to do like a regular podcast. Right? That's not us. We sometimes you got to realize you got to stay in your lane. So everyone that follows us for the way we do things, appreciate y'all, because that other stuff don't work for us. So
no. Let's be clear. That was Enoch's idea.
I wanted to try a regular podcast where we do it without no topic. Nah, it's not our thing. It's not our thing. But anyway, I had to take accountability for it. It's not our thing. It's not. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane, people. Yeah. But like we always say, like I say, it's gonna be ups and downs. decision makings, or everything you do. But remember the key. Keep God before anything.
Quick question. How do you keep God before anything? What do you do? Just curious.
Oh, ultimately have him in the forefront of my mind with every decision I make.
I understand that, but how? Like how? How would I do that?
Okay.
I wanna keep God first. How do I do that?
Okay. First off, you need to be talking to him. You need to be building a relationship with him every single day.
Okay.
So that, like we were talking about, that being able to, when you have a conversation, you can hear him, those little things that come in. But if you're not constantly chasing after him, seeking him, it's gonna be harder to make those right decisions, and being able to have the foresight to see, okay, something's telling me like that's not the right way. So you know what? I'm gonna follow the concept of what I learned about God, reading the Bible, the music you listen to, the way you talk, what the Bible says about me. So if I'm keeping God before anything, if that doesn't align with what God says about me and what He has for me, there's no possible way I'm gonna follow that. So if I'm keeping God before that, the principles of God and how He functions, not how I'm supposed to function, trumps anything.
Oh, so that's what you mean by put God for. You talking about His principles? Oh, all
Yes,
right.
sir. Yes,
Oh,
sir.
I understand. That was good.
Yes, sir.
That was good. I just wanted to see if you could break it down like that. But
oh no, I can do it off the fly. I ain't just talking it. I'm living it.
Oh, okay. My bad. Hey, boy. Ooh.
I like the way you did that though, because I wasn't even expecting you to ask me that.
Yeah, I
like
know.
that.
You always say it. You gotta remember.
Yeah, no.
I'm the person. People say things enough. I'll just let you keep saying it. Then eventually, I'll be like, "What do you mean by that?"
Facts.
Why are you saying that? What make you think that?
Facts.
Start to do that. You'll start to see what people really made.
Oh yeah.
Right. Somebody say something about why you think like that. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I just
thought it was okay.
Imagine you ask me, what's God before anything means? I mean, it just means, God is great. So I mean, He's better than everything else.
God is worthy to be praised.
He's worthy to be praised. So I mean, just He created me. So I mean, He got to be better than everything else.
Yeah, facts, my boy. You get it. All right, exactly. But you know my slogan. Strive for perfection.
But what's perfection?
Perfection is aligning yourself with God's laws, operating under His principles, thinking and making sure your mentality is governed by His Spirit. That's perfection, which is why when people say they can't be perfect, I have to, I have to challenge that. I'm not saying you can be perfect all the time, but you can have very strong moments where you're perfect.
Yeah.
You can have it.
Like right now, I'm perfect and not cheating on my wife.
Oh, perfect.
I'm perfect.
I'm perfect. No, I'm perfect.
Perfect.
No. Let's say it again. Perfect.
Facts.
Perfecto. My wife looks at me and goes, that's mine. I go, I'm yours. Facts. Yeah. But if you happen to
in certain areas,
here you go. Look, you miscalculated what the principle meant, and you're trying to
forgot to do the dishes. You know
what I mean? You forgot, and you got to readjust.
Yeah,
you'll still be excellent. And keep in mind, this is the last thing I'll say. I don't know if people follow the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule is like when you have 80% good and 20% bad.
Yeah.
If you can figure out what your bad, that 20% bad is, you can be 100 for 100 and 100. You get what I'm saying? 100 for 100% rule.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to analyze yourself. Find out your weak points, because a wise man knows where he struggles, and make yourself perfect.
Yep.
Other than that,
simple as that.
We'll see y'all next week.
Yep.
Make a change. You heard?
Change is good.